Hey everyone, Aaron here. Welcome back to an anime review, more so an anime request review. I haven't gotten one of these done in a long time, and what's funny is just today it kind of happened. And this request comes from RuneBoys7, so I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for this request. And this review is of Street Fighter II-V. Now, you know, it's one thing that's kind of funny, and I'll talk about like two things. I'll talk about the story of how I got into the show first off, and more so what RuneBoy7 said. He said that he hasn't found anyone that has watched Street Fighter II-V, and dude, I feel you, man, with that. A lot of people, like, I've talked to this about before, and they're like, oh yeah, I've never heard of this, so I'm glad I'm not alone. It's like, and also, a little recommendation really fast, if you liked this so much, you might want to check out the Virtua Fighter anime. That's actually a really good one. It's also based off a video game. I don't know if you want to watch that or what, or you're looking for recommendation that's something similar to a video game adaptation type anime. But anyways, so this series came out in 1995. Now, I didn't get privy to it until around 2004, I want to believe, around that. Where, when I was younger, I remember watching this on G4. If anyone remembers what G4 was, it was actually a show that's now, you know, defunct. It doesn't exist anymore. But it used to exist on cable, and it used to be a show, like a channel actually with like video game stuff, and it used to have anime once in a while, but more so they had like stuff like like X-Play was one of the shows, and Attack of the Shows, another one of the shows. Those were really cool shows. I used to enjoy them greatly. But they did show a lot of anime. They used to show anime at like toward like around 1 o'clock in the morning to like 4 o'clock, I think I was around that. And I remember one day I was awake in the morning and I saw Street Fighter II-V, and I'm like, wow, this is so badass. And I watched a lot of the episodes out of order because I didn't catch up with the show, of course. But I remember I'm going to find this. I want to find this because I used to be a huge collector even back then. And so I was looking everywhere. I couldn't find this. And I was like, damn, I can't find this show anywhere. It's pissing me off. And lo and behold, I ended up walking to a GameStop. This is when they sold video games, movies also, and Blu-rays and used DVDs and stuff like that. And I found the whole collection of Street Fighter II-V. And if you guys don't believe me, don't worry. I'm going to show a picture. It's probably coming up in me right now or whatever. I'll have it up for like maybe 10 seconds. But I actually do own Street Fighter II-V, so I don't want you guys to say, oh, you know, he's just reviewing this, or, yeah, listen, this is proof right here that I actually own it myself. Now, also, by the way, I do apologize for the horrible image, but honestly, like, I don't think there's a better image you can find, really, that shows, like, what the series, what the characters are, so you have to bear with it, unfortunately. Because, again, it's an old show. It's, like, usually harder to find wallpapers and screenshots of older shows. But anyway, Street Fighter II-V is pretty interesting. It's not your typical adaptation, I want to say. It takes a lot of liberties with the story, and I think does some things for the better. So, what we have actually here is Ryu and Ken, of course, are two street fighting martial arts enthusiasts, more so. And by the way, I say Ryu. I know people say Ryu and all that. I say Ryu. But Ryu and Ken are going around. They want to figure out, you know, let's find some way of getting better, honing our skills and getting stronger. They end up running into Chun-Li, who at this time is more so less of a kind of supernatural, you know, star of solving crimes and stuff like that. She's only just begun doing that, but she's more of like a tour guide type thing. And they end up getting kind of involved in the Shadaloo issue when, you know, some various characters, I won't spoil it for you guys, come up and, you know, attack them and stuff like that. And from then on, you know, their journey kind of is to stop Shadaloo, at the same time better themselves. And, you know, one of the big differences between the game storyline and the kind of lore of it and the anime adaptation is it actually has Ryu learning the Hadoken from Dalsim, which is the guy with the stretchy arms and the kind of fireball things and all that stuff, rather than Gakusen, which is actually supposed to be the one that teaches him the actual Hadoken. And yeah, I know my Street Fighter stuff, so I apologize. You know, I love fighting games in general, so I do know a lot of stories and stuff about them, like Tekken and, you know, Street Fighter and stuff, and Bloody Roar. You know, you can name a fighting game, and I know the background for it. But anyways, so what's interesting about this anime, though, is that a lot of characters from the show don't appear, too. They don't have, like, stuff like T-Hawk or, you know, Blanca and stuff like that. They do have Akuma, but he shows up, like, rarely. He's not one of the main points of the story. You know, I know a lot of the anime adaptations of the story have, like, you know, Akuma showing up and showing that, hey, I'm actually what you will become, Ryu, because of how dark your Hado is and stuff like that. They really kind of shy away from it. This is more of a kind of action series, comedy at times, action, you know, adventure type stuff. It is very, very 1995-esque, and because it did come out in 1995, but this series spews 1995, like, I mean, through every pore of it. And it's only like 29 episodes. I remember that was a really weird number for episodes. It was, I think, I still don't fully understand that. It did have an ending. It ended on a good way, I think, for a show like this. Honestly, one thing I love about this show is that I love the animations for it. I love that it has, you know, this kind of cool, crisp animation. You know, even though it does look old, it's still badass. It's still, you know, fun to see and all that stuff like that. I like the voice acting. The voice acting does differ depending on who actually is the one voicing. I remember that there's two companies that owned it. So I know there's an ADV version and there's also Amakameze version or something like that. So there are two versions of the voice actors. Both were okay. I think the ADV one was a lot better, and I mean that's come on, obviously like that. But one thing about this show, I love the music, I love the action, I love the story. Is it the best thing ever? No, it's not the best thing ever in terms of the story. It's kind of all over the place. You really, I think they could have did a little bit better job explaining some characters because they just pop in. Because I think more so they want to use them as fan service by having, you know, oh, let's have this guy pop in or this guy. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but they have like Vegas shows up, and you know they have I know they have, oh, I can't think of the bald head guy's name who's always fighting. He's one of my main characters too. I always main him in the Street Fighter games. Balrog, I think his name is. They have him show up, and they have less roles than they should have. And I think it's like, well, you know, I'm a little weirded out by that. I thought they should have did a little bit more with them. I think they could have, but they didn't. But overall, given that the show is really good, it's a lot of fun to watch. There's a lot of action. What would I rate it between an A through F? Solid B plus. I think this is one of those shows that you can watch. You know, even despite it being so old, you know, you can enjoy it. Yeah, it has some issues. If you're a really die-hard video game, you know, enthusiast, you might have some issues with it because it goes off its own kind of story and adaptation of itself. But I think that's also what makes it work better, too. I think it works better overall because of that. But anyways, guys and girls, that's it for today's review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks again, Roomboy7. I appreciate it, man. And, you know, like I said before, you know, Virtual Fighter might be one that you want to go check out because Virtual Fighter is really awesome. That's an awesome anime adaptation. And anyways, guys and girls, until I pass across again in the next review, have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.